Welcome back, everybody, to the It Takes Grit podcast. I am so excited that you are here with me today. We are going to have a lot of fun on this episode because we are going to talk all about you. And you're like, oh, I don't even want to talk about me, Rebecca. Like, that feels uncomfortable. Excellent, because guess what? Your success is one step outside of your comfort zone. And we're going to talk about the power of personal branding today. Don't worry, there's nothing complicated about it, but we're also going to talk about crafting your story. And I remember one of my mentors, Rory Vaden, said this to me. He said, Rebecca, you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. And when I heard those words, I was like, wow, this is so true. Like, when I first got started helping other people, who was I the day before? Who was I the month before? I was the girl who was 25 years old, struggling to get results. I was struggling so much with my nutrition. I would wake up in the morning, have a bowl of cereal, and fall asleep and wonder why I was tired. I would go to the gym, I would exercise, but I didn't understand how these people had abs and muscles and definition. And I honestly thought, well, they must be taking steroids or something. That's how they've gotten these amazing results. And I had this idea in my head of, you know what? Maybe I'm just never going to get the results that I'm looking for. I have to train all day on a treadmill. I need to lose weight. I need to do 1,000,000 crunches. And that was who I was before. I was scared to go into a gym. I certainly didn't know how to use any of the equipment. And my nutrition was really poor. And I, in fact, struggled with an eating disorder in my teens. And I was 20 pounds lighter than I am today. And so what we're going to talk about is how we craft your story. And a lot of times people go, well, it's all right for you. You know, now look at you. You've got this on social media and this is your lifestyle. I'm like, yes. And I didn't start that way. I started with that 25-year-old girl who was struggling to get results, was struggling to put good nutrition in her body, was struggling for energy. And I was also struggling with my proximity. I did not have good people around me. I was surrounded by people where, go out the weekends and drink. That was just the culture. Same thing week after week. Go out the weekends, drink. And that was just what we did. I was living paycheck to paycheck at the time. So I was struggling with what was my career going to be. And I tried everything. I got my commercial pilot's license. I worked for a bank. I was in girl bands. I was a club promoter. I've worked for multiple different people. I've tried so many different things. And I was struggling at 25, knowing what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I didn't know. And I look back at that girl and I go, wow, there's so many people, whether you're 25 right now, you're 35, you're 45, you're 55, and you're like, yeah, I'm struggling to get results. I really want to gain lean muscle, or you know what, I really want to change my career and I want to do something different. And so I used to be that person. And I allowed myself 3 things to change my life and to create the story I have today. I was willing to do the work, right? I was willing to start the nutrition plan that was going to change my life. I was willing to do everything that my mentor taught me. I was hungry. I wanted it. I was so ready for a change. I was hungry for it. I had this, what my mentor calls a burning desire in my tummy to be successful. And the third thing is I was coachable. Even though at the time I had negative people in my life and I didn't have success in nutrition and I didn't have success when it came to business, I was coachable. And I feel like a lot of times we're not coachable because we think that our way is the way that it should be. Well, I knew that at 25 years old. I was like, what I'm doing is not working. I have to be coachable, because if I'm not coachable to my mentor, one, they're not going to work with me anymore because they're not going to spend time on somebody who's not willing to do the work, who's not hungry, and who's not coachable. That's just not what's going to happen. And I wanted to make that change. And I saw a vision, because once your mind expands, it can't go back to its original state. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus. I'm going to make sure that I am getting so clear on my goals, and I'm going to stay really connected with this mentor. And so my story before was nothing of success. But I had to craft my story. And the only way that I was able to get the story that I have today was being those three things. I was willing to do the work, I was hungry for it, and I was coachable. So we're going to talk a little bit about personal branding. And you don't need to overcomplicate it. Personal branding basically means, who are you? What are you about? What do you stand for? What excites you? How do you help people? What changes do you want to make? What changes have you made? That is your personal brand. It is you. See, I've got loads of messages popping up right here, left, right, and center, because my phone is going crazy. If I don't put it on Do Not Disturb, I'm going to put that on Do Not Disturb right now, because, my phone is just blowing up. There's a lot of momentum and energy going on right now, and I love it. I love working with hungry, driven people that blow up my phone all day long and ask me questions. In fact, just a side note, I had a call with one of my new team members the other day, and they're like, oh, I just don't want to bug you. I'm like, you are bugging me if you don't message me, because if you don't message me, I have to then go and find where you are in my phone and ask you why you haven't sent me a message. It's actually a lot more work for me to follow up with you and find out what is going on, where you at, why have you not followed through the first assignment, rather than you saying, hey, I need some help. Okay? So if you're part of my team, just know you are only bugging me if you don't message me and I have to reach out to you. So start to message me a little bit more. So we're going to start talking about defining your personal brand and its significance in your career. It is so important to have who you are and what you're about to inspire other people. You're most powerfully positioned, I'm going to say it again, to serve the person you once were. For me, on social media, I share my life. I share the ups, I share the downs, I share more of the ups, right? Or if I've gone through a challenging time, I kind of wait until I'm through that challenging time so that I actually have some value. I don't really like bringing people into my drama and be like, oh, I've had a really bad day. No, I'm like, hey, this was a challenging time, and this is what I did during this time that helped me get through it, so that it's going to help you too. So define what you're about. Define what you want to change. Define the impact that you want to make. And then let's talk about a few strategies for effectively communicating your story. Write this down. There's no wrong way to do it. There's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. Just start sharing your story. Start sharing your experience. You don't even have to have a story. You're not going to have one at the beginning. You're brand new at something. But what is your experience? Document the journey. When I first got started doing a transformation with my body when I was 25 years old, my mentor told me, document your journey on social media so that people can follow you and be part of the journey with you. To think that people are just going to reach out to you is insane. I have been sharing my personal journey and how I've evolved and the things that have worked for me since 2013. I continue to share. Why? To inspire other people, to let people know if I can do it, so can you. And you don't just want to start sharing your story when you feel like you've got this perfect end story, because you're never going to get there. Once you feel like you've hit your goal, you're gonna find that there's going to be another goal that you want to achieve. There's going to be something else that you want to do. So I want you to really focus on, how do you effectively communicate your story? You plan, you do, you review. There's going to be times where you share your story and you're like, oh, that came out a little bit of a mess. Or, oh, that didn't sound quite right. But no problem. You can just adapt. You can keep moving and your story's going to change. So document your experience. When I first got started on the nutrition plan, I said, hey, this is where I'm at the beginning. And I didn't question my mentor. I didn't question him. I didn't say, oh, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that. He would have been like, what do you mean you're not going to do that? Like, do you want my help or you don't? He said, Rebecca, you can think like me and have what I have, or I can think like you and have what you have. And at the time I was broke, living paycheck to paycheck, and he had a beautiful home in Newport Coast, people coming up to him all the time saying, thank you so much for changing my life. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start thinking like you. And as soon as I did, and I let my ego go, because a lot of times it's ego, right? A lot of times we don't want to share our experience because ego gets in the way, or we care about what somebody else thinks. But if you care about what somebody else thinks, that's just because it's affecting your ego. Just share your experience. Nobody can argue with your experience. Nobody can argue and say, hey, like what you did, it didn't work, or hey, what you're doing, I don't agree with it. Just Share your experience, share your excitement. And you want to spend more time with people encouraging you, less time with people that are distracting you, and a lot less time with people that are discouraging you, right? That's like number one. And so, yes, you can use social media to share your experience. You can do it in person when you're seeing friends and family, sharing your experience, asking them how they are, sharing what you're up to. But I really love using social media because it gives people social proof of what's possible. I share every single day on my social media to inspire someone like you to make a decision that's going to change your life. I post every day on social media in the hopes that one day you see my post and you go, today is the day. I'm sick and tired of where I am. I'm not getting the results that I want. And I am deciding today to make a difference. I cannot emphasize enough how important that is. And so as we kind of share our story on social media, you're going to adapt your brand, yourself. I was looking back at like my very original like exit videos. I was like looking back at them. I was like, when was it? It's October of 2012. If you look at me in that, like, I'm such a different person. I'm so young and I'm like so different, but like I still had guts. I still had determination. I still had a willingness. I still had a drive. I still had hunger. I was still coachable. Still that same person, but has my brand evolved? Have I changed drastically? Have I got better every single year? Absolutely. So it is going to adapt as you go. But if you don't ever get started, you can never adapt. You can't ever get better. You want to be the best? You got to start, right? You can't just start and be great. You got to start to be great. So you also want to make sure that you are protecting your brand and your integrity. So I have never done a collaboration, a paid sponsorship with anybody that has conflicted with the nutrition company that I work with in 11 years. And I would never do it. I've never done anything that's even close to it. My integrity is so important. And I'm very, very cautious of who I work with, who I collaborate with, the people that I have on my podcast, the brands that I've worked with in the past. I'm very, very particular on that because I want to protect my brand and my integrity. It's not about money. I've been offered tens of thousands of dollars for a couple of Instagram posts to post something that would conflict with what I've been doing for the last 11 years. Now people are like, why wouldn't you take that money? Why? Because my integrity is more important than money. And if I was all about money, well, I would just have a white label product up on a website and I could sell you guys a shit ton of protein. And I wouldn't have to do any work. I'd just go on Instagram. Hi guys, do you want to buy my protein? Here you are, these are my results. Buy here, click here. Do you know how much work that takes? Not a lot. Well, what do I choose to do? I choose to get on the phone with you individually to help you with your nutrition needs and to give you an opportunity where you can make more money for you and your family. Now tell me, what is better? Sticking a product online and having you all buy it and making me a shit ton of money, or having a business with the number one nutrition company in the world where they've got the best products, the best athletes, there's an opportunity for people to make income, and I get to work with you one-on-one. To me, that's like an absolute no-brainer. So yeah, when people are like, oh, you do that? Absolutely, I do that. Why? Because I get to speak to you one-on-one. Go and find another fitness influencer where you're going to buy a $30 protein from them and they're going to get on a one-on-one call with you. Absolutely not. So the next time you go, I just don't know about that. I don't know the way you do it. Just think about that. Just think about how different that is. Great, go buy a protein from somebody else, but don't expect them to get on a call with you when you spend $30 with them. In fact, even if you spend $500 with them, they are not going to get on a call with you. They're just not. And that's fine. That's their business model. But this is why I like to do things a little bit differently, because I get to help you one-on-one. And I also get to create an opportunity for you where you can earn extra income as well. So that's why I love to protect my brand and own it. Own your story. Don't be like, oh, I've only lost 5 pounds, or I've only done this, or I've only done that. No, own it, because there's somebody out there who would love to lose 15 pounds and you're just dismissing it as something that's not that important. So really think about owning your story And the more that you own it, the more confident you're going to get, the more bold you're going to get, the more excited you're going to get, the more success you're going to have, the more people you're going to impact, the more lives you're going to change, the more you're going to do for your family and for your friends, and the lifestyle that you want is going to be closer to you. But you have to own your story, and you're going to inspire so many people by doing it. Who do you want to inspire? Are you someone that's like, yeah, I really want to be an inspiration for others, and, I really do want to help other people, but yeah, I don't actually want to like tell them my story, or I don't actually want to like, get people on a call, or I don't actually want to like, follow up with people and have to work with them. Well, you can't have both. You can't have to want all this impact and then also just not want to help people. They don't work. So the power of your personal brand is so important, and all this like, oh, I need to find my niche. No. Your niche is going to find you. You're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. That's your niche. Who were you before, and how can you help those people that are in the same situation that you are in right now? That's how you find your niche. Keep sharing you. You're going to invite more and more people into your life by sharing who you are and how you can help them, because you used to be in their situation before. So as we kind of wrap up this episode, little bit of thing that you want to think about today is, what is your story before? Who were you? You're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. Who was that girl? Who was that guy? Who was that woman? Who was that person? Find out. Write it down. That's my person. Now, share that story. Before I found this, I was feeling tired. I didn't have direction in my life. And now I found this and it changed my life. Great. How many people are there out there right now that want that change? And if that's you, great. I've got a video underneath. You can watch the video and we can set up a call and go through your goals. But I can't make you watch the video. I can't make you set up the call. So ask yourself, your homework for today is, who is the person that you were? And if you're like, oh, I haven't even changed that much, I don't care. What have you changed? Who were you before? And own that story, share it, and inspire other people. I'm proud of you for showing up today. It's part of the journey, is showing up over and over again with resilience. And just remember, for things to change, we have to change. For things to get better, we have to get better. Keep going and make sure that you do not miss next week's episode.